Together, Solo and Molly walked for over half an hour before the tiniest smudge of light appeared in the tunnel. During this time, Solo felt calm and extremely happy. Even though he occasionally tried to worry, he simply couldn't. Being with her was wonderful, hearing her panting, sensing her strong confidence in what she was doing. She was so deeply peaceful. "This is the lighter dark," telepathed Molly. "I need to leave you now. You should light your candle." Solo lit the candle, and through its flame he saw Molly's enormous brown eyes smiling at him, and some of her sandy fur was shimmering in the candle's light. Somehow the thought of her leaving was too much. He put the candle holder on the ground and gave Molly a hug, nuzzling his face into her fur. Her body sighed, and she seemed to hug him back. "We'll meet again," she telepathed. "I know it." "Me too," whispered Solo. "Woof," said Molly, and with that she bounded back towards the darkness. To help more people who can't see, thought Solo. The candle flickered, and Solo hoped it wasn't going to go out, and Solo hoped it wasn't going to fail. In its light, he could see that as he walked along, the walls of the tunnel became more and more as if they had been made by humans. There were lumps of sandstone and brick, and finally, after about another half an hour, there was a large flagstone that read Innisfree, capital city of Dragolan. There was there was a large flagstone on the ground that read Innisfree, capital city of Dragolan. Solo was glad to see the name of his hometown inscribed onto the tunnel's floor. Soon after he'd seen the flagstone in the ground, he came to some narrow steps and began to climb. His candle started to flicker, and when Solo accidentally sneezed, he blew it right out. His first response was to feel afraid in the darkness. But after a few minutes, he realized that there was a very dim light coming from far above him. After about 5 more minutes of climbing, Solo could hear some overhead noises, a dull hum and occasional thumps. Also, he thought he could feel a very slight breeze, but wasn't quite sure. A little further on, Solo could definitely smell fresh air and hear the sounds of running water. A few more minutes passed, and Solo could see shafts of light and a ladder inside what looked like a well. Emerging out into the light, he felt confused. To his surprise, he was at the old university well, which was near the fountain well, but hidden inside a circle of old hedges. He and Toll hadn't realized it was there before, but he could see what a great entrance it was. He couldn't wait to show Toll. He could see what a great entrance it he could see what a great entrance it was to the tunnels. He couldn't wait to show Toll. When he arrived home, he made a hot chocolate before telling his mother all about his adventure. Nell said that when she was young, she'd also been drawn into strange places, as if by magic. Looking sad, she confessed that her father hadn't always believed her about her adventures. "One time," she said, "he grounded me for 2 weeks. It seemed so unfair. But my father had given up the idea of Imagineering." Nell looked down. Solo could see tears in her eyes. "It's okay," said Solo. "I know," said Nell. "Sorry." After a while, when their eyes met, Solo smiled and said, "It's amazing to go on a magic adventure, isn't it?" "Oh, yes," she beamed, "and you're amazing for going on them." Solo smiled. "I'm going to write all of this down before I forget something." "Just a moment," said Nell softly. "What?" "I need to tell you something. It's a secret, really. Well, lots of them actually, but one big one today," said Nell, looking solemn. "Okay, fire away." "When your father and I were young," Nell began, We were invited to begin our training to become imaginicians. I know, said Solo, and you're imaginicians. Nell looked serious. Yes, but my father wasn't, so it was difficult for me. You don't become an imaginician just like that. You have to go through training, and it usually happens in the realm where you will be most needed. So you and Dad did some training? Yes, Bill started when he was only 11, but I wasn't invited to begin until I was about 14. Who invited you? Godot, the Labradoodle, said Nell quietly. Godot? Solo almost shrieked. I met him today. I know you did, Nell smiled, and I think he's inviting you to enter training. How do you know? Did he give you anything? Solo scrabbled around in his pockets. He gave me this candle, said Solo, but it was only so that I could see where I was going. It wasn't like it was special or anything. He didn't even say that I should keep it. I just felt bad to throw it away in the tunnels. Is there anything written on it? Asked Nell. Solo held the candle up to the light, rotating it, looking for a message. There, he exclaimed. Look. Solo and Nell peered at the writing on the candle's side. In miniature script it said, Meet again to train, train to again meet. You see, said Nell, her eyes full of tears, you've been chosen to work deep with Godot. Solo grinned, but then he looked a bit solemn. The only thing is, he doesn't seem that bright, said Solo. He's always saying that Mrs. Platypus knows more than he does and stuff like that. Nell smiled. You'll see, she said. Godot knows a great deal. He just hides it well, and he's very humble. So when will I meet him again? Asked Solo. What did the message say? Asked Nell. Meet again to train, train to again meet. Solo read aloud from the candle. Oh man, he said, imagine if I'd left the candle burning. The message would have been lost forever. Godot had it all planned, said Nell. Believe me, the candle would have gone out way before it destroyed Godot's message. But what does it mean? That's all part of it. You'll just have to think about the words, write them down, play with them, say them aloud, and see what comes to mind. Oh, wow, I'm going to write all of this down. This is way weird. Solo headed off to find his journal. Solo, called Nell, when you do begin your training, always remember that it's quite normal for training to be unusual and difficult, so don't worry about it, all right? Solo nodded. Also, continued Nell, this is only for you to know, okay? For now, it's a secret. Can I tell Dad? Dad already knows, but you can talk to him, of course. He and I have known for quite a while that this would happen. We just didn't know when. Solo looked confused. How did you know? He asked. I think you've met Halo, haven't you? Halo, exclaimed Solo. He knows everything. Did he tell you? Nell grinned. And Dad's pleased then? Over the top, smiled Nell. Now, go and write about your adventure. It's so exciting.